today's video is going to be talking about how I estimate jobs, aka how long it takes for me to assemble things, how long it takes for me to complete a home repair or mounting job. The most frequently booked job would probably be furniture assembly, and please take this into consideration that I have 3 years of experience in doing this, and if you don't have that much experience, or if you don't feel confident about your assembly or home repair or mounting experience, I would add at least another 15 to 30 minutes to what I am estimating. And having had said that, chairs, office chairs, stools, bar stools, footstools, things like that, those are probably the easiest things to assemble. So I would say 15 minutes to less than 15 minutes is how long it usually takes me. Dressers. Now, dressers can be 4 drawers. Typically, they're 5 drawer dressers, and that I estimate about 1 hour to assemble. Larger dressers, like a bigger IKEA dresser with like 3 dressers here, 3 dressers there, and another 3 dressers where it's like 9 dressers total. Those are gonna take longer to assemble, and I would say add another 30 minutes to an hour to that. So for a larger dresser, I would estimate 1.5 hours to 2 hours to assemble. A shed, a wood shed, a plastic resin shed, I would say a smaller one that would stand like 5 feet tall, I would estimate maybe 2 hours, and 3 hours for like one that stands 6 feet tall. A bunk bed. Bunk beds, even if it's like a fun like accessory bunk bed that has like the princess rooftops or whatever, they usually don't take too long because it's still like a bed frame and it's still pretty simple. So I would say at 1.5 hours. A bed frame, if it's metal and it's simple, like from Amazon, like 20 to 30 minutes. If it's like an IKEA Malm without storage, 1 hour. If it has storage where it has the drawers on each side, I would say add 30 minutes just to be safe. TV consoles or media tables, 1 hour to 1.5 hours. A foosball table, I'd estimate like 2 hours. Nightstands, 30 minutes. Nightstands even with drawers, like 1 to 2 to 3 drawers. Cabinets with 3 drawers, I would say 30 minutes still. Sofa couch, 1 hour. A standing desk, 1 hour. Okay. Home repair. So if it's like a fallen shelf, like the shelf is already mounted, it's existing, and you're just putting it back and helping the client out, or like a coat hook, things like that, I would say to put it back up onto existing holes and putting in larger anchors and whatever, that's 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes tops. Nail patching, if the holes are smaller, I would say 30 minutes. Even with the painting and everything, 30 to 45 minutes. As far as mounting, in my experience, on wood studs, it takes like about an hour, because I'm like asking the client, okay, this is the recommended based on the size of the TV screen, all that stuff. Look that up and then kind of suggest or talk about it, and then find the studs and where they would like to mount, like on the left side or the right side based on 16 inches on center. All that talking and everything, about an hour on average in my opinion. Shelves, like if it's like a really tiny shelf, you could get it done in 15 minutes. Like just on standard, I'd estimate per shelf 30 minutes. Curtain rods, 30 to 45 minutes. If you know you don't have that much space in between like the curtain rod and whatever they put in front of the window, that could take into account of like how much longer it takes. So as an example, there are a lot of varieties when it comes to mounting. So just recently I mounted 4 string light poles onto the balcony side walls, and because it wasn't like straight up and down, the ledge came a little bit inwards. I needed to put like a wood block for each block, or for each pole, and for each pole to be mounted on the wood block. And so I'd say the first block took me about 30 minutes after like the client showing me where he wanted it mounted, and then me getting the hang of everything and whatnot, you know, hanging the lights, how the client might have wanted it hung and all that. And so you want to multiply how long it took for the first pole times 4, however many you have to do, maybe minus like 15 minutes or 10 minutes, because the second and the third and the fourth, or however many you have to do, is not going to take you as long as the first one. And then what to tell the client when they ask you like, oh, how long do you think all of this is going to take? I suggest only stating so if they ask. I usually give it into a range of like 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. If you don't really know, but you might expect it to be like over 2 hours, just say 2 to 4 hours just to be safe. Like give it in a range, and then make sure you clearly state that you estimate blah blah blah. And if you feel like, okay, I estimate this, but it might take less or whatever, then say so. Just be honest. Right, Chu? Having fun? In the very beginning of my TaskRabbit, HANDYWOMAN, getting jobs through Nextdoor and all that career, I didn't really even think about like the dangers of going into strangers' home as a female. So I had like my box cutter in my back pocket. I would screenshot the address that I'm going to and send it to somebody that I know. I've never really had issues about that. Going into a stranger's home by yourself could be tricky. I get that. So I would practice the things that I was doing, like having a box cutter or some kind of like easy weapon in your back pocket, telling someone that you know where you are going, the address of the place that you're going to. Only work during the day. I've been very successful in that. And like for the most part, home repair jobs, things like that, like I feel like it's common sense to do them during the day. Most people get off after their 9 to 5. They don't want to deal with having someone coming into their lives anyway. So I feel like during the day would be safe for you and for the client. Yeah, I've never felt like I was in danger, but I do want to say, on the client's end, I have heard of horror stories. Like the clients have told me like, oh yeah, I booked this tasker and he figured that I live by myself, and so he came back at like 3 in the morning, like pounding on my door asking for me. Or a client of mine that hired this guy, she hired him back for other stuff and was hitting on her all the time, which made her uncomfortable. Yelp review where someone complained of a handywoman that didn't serve like a certain area in Cali, like Inglewood, and she was like, well, it was because she was like held at gunpoint and someone tried to rob her of her tools.
The big butt in front of me. Papa, please. Little please, be quiet. And after 3 years, I've really had no issues. 90% of my clients are female, and